Hey, it's Adam Lavelle here. KnuckleTFUp.com. That's KnuckleTFUp.com. We're here to talk about one championship Friday fights from October 10th, 2025. That was just yesterday as I filmed this. I only watch the Muay Thai fights. I'm not interested in kickboxing or MMA. Nothing against either one of them, just not my bag, just not my thing. If I'm going to watch anything other than Muay Thai, it's going to be bare knuckle fighting or dirty boxing. But let's jump into this show. Let's talk about it. It kicked off with Peja Krut taking on Adesanya Renimi. Now, Renimi is, I believe they said he's Iranian. Forgive me if that's not correct. I should write that kind of stuff down, I guess. But he had his hair dyed bright blonde, looked like the Iranian Ric Flair or something, man. He's coming in there looking only as he can look, right? And Peja Krut being the serious kick-ass guy that he is. Now, this fight was interesting. There's no doubt about it that Renimi is good. And Peja Krut, no doubt about either of these guys being good. But Renimi in here breaking some rules, if you will. There was twice in this fight where Renimi caught Peja Krut's kick, pulled it, and that's perfectly legal. You catch your kick, you pull it, try to clothesline him, try to elbow him, try to forearm smash him, punch him, what have you, right? They kick at you, you catch it, you pull the leg, bam. Not instantly. You want to hold it sometimes. What's he doing here? They're hopping around on one foot, trying to pull their leg away from him. But if they pull too hard, that maybe pull them into him. It's a big strategy thing, honestly. When someone has your foot in their arms, in their hands, in their grip, what the hell are you going to do? You better be prepared to defend. That's what you better be prepared for. And Peja Krut defended well. Both times, Renimi pulled him in, tried to do a maneuver, tried to do a punch, an elbow, what have you. Peja Krut gets out of the way. A lot of the times, just about every time you fall down, it's one way to get out of the way. Just kick your other leg out and fall the hell down and get out of the way of their offense. But when he did that, Renimi just didn't stop there. Renimi came in with a big swinging kick to the face. And that's illegal. You cannot kick a downed opponent in the face. This isn't Pride from back in the day where almost anything went. And I'm not knocking it. I enjoyed Pride back then. But no, you could break somebody's neck. You could literally kill them. Now, when he first does it, he's very apologetic, putting his hands together, motioning to the crowd, the rep, his opponent. Opponent gets up to 3 minutes to recover. And my God, if you're kicked in the chin, full force, you're going to need that time. So, Peja Krut took a lot of that time, but the fight began again. And damn if it wasn't another 30, 45 seconds, and freaking Renimi does it again. Catches the kick, pulls him down, runs up, walks up basically, kicks him hard in the chin and knocks him out cold. Well, here comes the red card. That's a disqualification. This is over. And you can't tell me Adesanya Renimi didn't do this on purpose. He did it on purpose. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, as the saying goes. He's not fooling me twice. Now, if this was anything goes league or most things goes league, or like I said, Pride back in the day, hey, we'll be on here saying what a cool move it was. Because it does take some talent and skill to pull that off. But in Muay Thai, it's cheating. And cheating is what he did, and I'd be surprised if we see Adesanya Renimi back on here anytime soon, if ever. And that wouldn't bother me at all. I'm not calling for his banishment. I'm just saying if that's what they decide, so be it, man. You can't do shit like that. You just can't. Next up were the women, and we needed this. After that last fight and the cheating and the yellow card and the red card, the warning, the disqualification, we needed something like this. Something like Dong Dunoy taking on Kim Townsend. Kim Townsend comes in here ridiculously decorated. She has more belts than you can count. Now, that's not taking anything away from Dong Dunoy. She's very celebrated. She comes from a deep lineage of Muay Thai, so she is a badass fighter. These two fought 9 years ago. They were practically children, right? A long time ago. And it's all Townsend come out the victor by split decision. So this was rematch in the waiting for 9 damn years. Solid first round with Dong Dunoy adapting her style. And she said she was going to do this, and she did it. meaning she came in being a fighter who typically fights off of her back foot, meaning she's a counter fighter. She waits for her opponents to come in, swing, miss, get blocked or whatever, and she counters. Here she said she would change her style and she would be the aggressor. She absolutely was. Now, Townsend was interviewed before the fight, and she said that's not going to matter. She half chuckled at it. I kind of feel Kim Townsend came in here underestimating her opponent a little bit. Now, there's not, I love and almost said cocky, but I love a very flamboyant fighter. I love a fighter with big time belief in himself. So I'm not knocking Kim Townsend in any way, but this was completely one-sided for all three rounds. Dong Donoy came in here and used razor elbows. I mean, spinning forward. I don't think I saw any tomahawks, but she came in here with elbows on fire and lit Townsend up, cut her face badly. Townsend was bleeding after the first round and honestly never, ever recovered. I'm not saying she was loopy or not with it. She was trying, but every single time Townsend came in, she got beat up by the woman who normally counters. It was an amazing thing to see. Dong Donoy won this easily, unanimous decision, breaking a streak that Townsend had going 17 straight victories. Down the tubes, Dong Donoy with a major victory here. And even though I'm not a big fan of fights that go to the judges, I'm not. This was worth it. This was 3 rounds of par excellence, if you will. And again, taking nothing away from Kim Townsend, who looked good, just not good enough here. Dong Donoy made me want to see her again and again and again, and I can't wait for her next fight. This was a hell of a one. But congrats to Kim Townsend for all her success. It's a little setback. She'll be back, no doubt about it. But there is no doubt that Dong Donoy was the most impressive and fun fighter to watch here. I loved it. The third Muay Thai fight of the night from One Championship Friday Night Fights on October 10th, 2025 saw Therapon taking on Fasodasai. Both guys came out looking pretty even in the first round, but honestly, if I had to pick, it was hard to pick who won that fight. I say Fasodasai landed a little bit more, was a little bit more solid, was a little bit more true, but it was pretty even overall. And round 2, it's like somebody in Therapon's corner leaned up and whispered to him, you might have lost that first round, because he came out like, nope, this ain't happening. I'm not going home a loser. There's no way I'm going down on points here, because he turned it up and he turned out and he controlled round 2, knocking Fasodasai down. Once Fasodasai was up, it wasn't long until Fasodasai was back down again. And this time he was out. The ref was like, nah, this is over. The winner by knockout in the second round. Coming back, not incredibly, but coming back a little, because I think he was down in the first round. I mean, an incredible job. The winner was Therapon with a knockout in the second round. Now, the cool thing about this is this was the first time in small gloves for Therapon. First time. He's usually wearing those pillow gloves, right? Those big softies that I'm not a big fan of. But here he's got the little ones on, and he wins his debut match against a very good fighter. And this was awesome. I like I said, I hate it to go to the judges, baby. And this one, it was like, no, Therapon wasn't going to let that happen. That's for sure. The next fight on this show was Coco taking on Wan Chanoi. Coming out strong in round 1 was Wan Chanoi, pressing forward, taking so many shots, he was leaving himself open. See, Wan Chanoi came in, like I said, very strongly, which I enjoy, which I appreciate, but that left him open to counter shots, which he received plenty of them. So making the first round tough to call. Wan Chanoi deserves all the credit in the world for coming around aggressively, but again, aggressiveness can lead to you getting beat up a little bit, which is exactly what happened here a little bit. But it paid off close to the end of the round as Wan Chanoi knocked Coco down. Bam, knockdown, got a hard shot to the jaw, down went Coco. Big overhand, it was actually an elbow. Sorry, I missed it in my notes there. Big overhand elbow, if you will, coming in with an overhand, turning it into an elbow, knocking Coco down. The second round came, Coco stormed back, pretty much controlling the round and coming very close to knocking Wan Chanoi down, in my opinion. Very close. It doesn't count, doesn't count. Close only counts in grenade throwing and horseshoe games, right? But here, I don't know. I thought Wan Chanoi seemed a little wobbly, seemed a little out of it. Coco won round 2, I feel, convincingly. Round 3 is going to be very important here since Coco was knocked down and hasn't got the knockdown back in return. I think he won round 2, but he's going to have to win round 3 fairly convincingly. Now, Did he do it? I think he won round 3. He came out again very aggressively. Won Chanoi was fighting off his back foot. Won Chanoi, the guy who was winning the fight in the first round and knocked Coco down, was on the defense for the entire third round. Did he get shots in? Hell yeah, he got shots in. No Muay Thai fighters are going to get out there and just stand there and take. They're going to get their shots in. But I feel like Coco came back and won the third round as well. Not as convincingly as he did the second, but still, obviously. So he won the second round convincingly, and I feel he obviously won the third round, but he suffered that knockdown in round 1. Can he overcome it? I feel like he fought hard enough to overcome it. The judges disagreed. They gave the victory to Won Chanoi unanimously. Unanimously. See, this is one of the reasons I do not like fights going to the judges. Who am I to sit here and insult Muay Thai judges? I ain't nobody, okay? And I can readily admit that. But, when a fighter comes back from a knockdown to fight as aggressively and as fully and as hard as Coco did here, only to lose, or at least not lose in a split decision, I just think that's kind of sad and pathetic. That's just my opinion. Fighters, you got to do all you can. I know some guys just have a chin so damn good, and you got to give it to Won Chanoi. He somehow stayed up, and that second round, he was beaten pretty bad. So, hey, if you give it your all and the guy just won't fall or the girl just won't fall, I guess there's nothing you can do about it, of course. But I don't know, get in the gym and get stronger. Don't let these fights go to the judges. It happens way too much, unfortunately. The next fight, the 5th fight of the night from Friday Fights, One Championship, just a Muay Thai, was Kokrat taking on Ayub Yassin. Yassin looked the sharpest, and Kokrat has a bleeding face in the first round. So Yassin comes out, was really sharp, literally, because he cut Kokrat's face. And anytime somebody's bleeding, it looks like they're losing, even if they're not necessarily. That's just a fact. Judges are smarter than that, at least we hope. But generally, it looks like they're losing the fight. And here, I did feel that Yassin came in more, got more offense in, got the cut. I don't think you should necessarily get points or win rounds for cutting somebody. But like I said, it adds to the overall effect of what's going on. There was nothing that exciting in round 1 except the punch, the elbow that caused the cut. But other than that, not much. Yassin was still leading in round 2, but still to me, this fight, I think it even cooled off a little bit in round 2. This wasn't a bad fight. We're going to talk about a bad fight a little bit later. It just wasn't super exciting. Round 3, more the same. But I'd once again say that Yassin controlled the entire fight. Not dominantly, not in any way that I can't wait to see this guy fight again. Hopefully it's a little bit better. This might have been a clash of styles. I'm not entirely sure, but overall, not that great of a fight. So since I'm sitting here thinking, since I thought Yassin won it, that would surely go the other way, because judges so often disagree with my take. But here, they agreed with me and gave it to Ayub Yassin by unanimous decision. This was not the worst fight on this show, and it wasn't a bad fight. When I say worst fights, I'm talking about excitement level, right? I'm talking about the lean-in factor. I'm gonna copyright that for my show. Did this fight make me lean in? If I'm watching a fight and it's a lean-in fight, that means, man, I'm not just sitting here taking screenshots and typing up notes. That's what I do. Sit there and watch the fight, take some screenshots, paste them onto my Photoshop, and type notes. Here, that's all I did. I watched. I took my screenshots, I typed my notes, and that was it. If a fight is incredible, I'm leaning in watching. And then often I have to pause after the fight's over and watch my notes, sometimes rewind a little bit and see in case I miss something while I'm taking screenshots. It's a whole other system that I have here. So this fight was just a screenshots and notes fight. I'm watching it, but it's just screenshots and notes. Nothing exciting, but at least I picked the winner, right? Ayub Yassin wins by unanimous decision. We are up to the 6th fight of the night, and it saw Kamawat take on Anar Mamadov. Kamawat coming inside and throwing, but the height advantage that Mamadov has is gaining him the striking advantage. So what I'm saying here is that Mamadov, using those long arms, took advantage of them and just picked Kamawat apart as he came in, and Kamawat's face was bruised up at the end of the first round. Not necessarily extremely puffy. The doctor wasn't alerted or anything that bad, But he was taking a beating to his face for sure. Even though he was doing a good job of coming in, he was just getting hit as he did so. Mammadov started out in the second round, knocking Kamawat down. It's like Mammadov was sort of, I don't want to say he was hanging back, but he was taking advantage of the length of his arms and picking apart Kamawat's face. In the second round, Mammadov began to go in. He didn't just stand back and allow Kamawat to come in and swing at him, and he picked him off, countering. He actually took some aggressiveness and knocked Kamawat down. It looked like it might be over. I thought Kamawat was not getting up, but he did. He got back up fairly quickly. I thought he got hit hard enough that he'd stay down, but he got beat up again, overwhelmed, knocked down. This time the referee stepped in because the referee must have saw what I saw, and that was Kamawat looking dazed and out of it. But he let him get up, gave him the count, sort of gauged it, allowed him to continue. But as soon as Mammadov came in and overwhelmed him and knocked him down again, 44 seconds into the second round, the ref was like, nope, that's it. Your winner by clear knockout, Anar Mammadov. It was probably a TKO since the ref stepped in and stopped it, but still, you get the picture, right? Anar Mammadov won the first round, even though Kamawat came on good. Second round, it was like Mammadov said, I'm not playing around anymore, and knocked Kamawat out pretty convincingly. We were up to the seventh fight of the night. Now, folks, I'll tell you who's in it here. It was Sing Dom Tong taking on Sonnet. Now, I respect these guys. They're both great fighters. I want to put that out there right now. I enjoy their fights for the most part. They're both incredible. They're both tough as hell. But this fight was terrible. It was the most inactive Muay Thai fight I think I've ever seen. Now, I've only been watching 4 or 5 months, okay? 4.5. So that doesn't mean a whole lot. And it has nothing to do with their talent. I believe what happened here, both are so good, both are so talented, that both were far too calculating, far too, I don't want to say scared, but they just didn't want to engage. They threw a bunch of kicks. They did. And if one of them would have landed on somebody's head or liver, it would have ended it, but that didn't happen. Both guys defended extremely well. Both guys would step in, step out, step in, step out. I just don't even want to talk about this fight much. I just want to tell you I thought it was terrible. I mean, Sonnet won by unanimous decision. Unanimous decision. And I didn't care. I watched the fight. Again, I recognize their greatness, but I think when you get two great fighters like this, you're either going to have a hell of a fight or you're going to have a snooze fest like this because nobody wants to get their ass beat. So they both just hung back and threw kicks here or there. Worst Muay Thai fight I've ever seen between two great Muay Thai fighters, but this was the shits. I'm just being honest. It was the shits. I hope we don't ever have to suffer through it again. I mean, the ref 2 or 3 times encouraging them to engage. So it wasn't just me seeing this. It was bad. And it was the semi-main event because now we are up to the main event of the night. One Championship Friday fights, October 10th, 2025. It was the 8th Muay Thai fight. It was the last fight of the night. It was the main event. It was Steven Irvin taking on Rambong. Pretty back and forth fight until there were about 15 seconds left in the first round. So what I'm saying here, the first 2 minutes and 45 seconds were pretty tightly contested. Both guys doing well, both guys getting solid shots. If it would have ended, I would have said it had been very hard to call and who won round one. It wasn't exciting, but it wasn't like the last fight. It was both guys firing off pretty decently, but not throwing haymakers and going wild, right? It was a decent back and forth battle. But with 15 seconds left to go in the first round, Irvin landed a head kick to the side of Rambong's neck. I mean, right around his ear, his jawline, right? Just bam, right there. Sweeping right leg kick. And Rambong is down and out. Anybody would be. You get kicked in the side of the neck along your jawline and ear by a Muay Thai fighter, you're going down, no matter what your name is, no matter what your skill level is. And Rambong, whose name is big and skill is high, went down cold. Winner by knockout in the very first round, Steven Irvin. Now, not only did he win the bonus here, because if you get a knockout, you always win the bonus in one championship. He wins a contract into the main company, the one organization, the one championship organization, worth $100,000. That's what these Friday fights are all about. They are searching for roster members. They will have roster members fight on this show once in a while, but they're always fighting against a non-roster member. So they're always on the lookout for who they can sign, but they're picky. They're not just going to sign anybody. So Stephen Irvine getting this big win over a fighter like Rambong with an incredible leg kick knockout. Sign the paperwork, baby. He's in the one organization. So we'll see a lot more of him. I'm excited about that. Now, this show overall, I very much enjoyed it. So, and my rating is going to reflect that. But it's also going to reflect that terrible seventh fight of the night, the semi-main event. I won't even talk about their names anymore. I don't want to associate it with their names because they're great. But that seventh fight was so bad. I'm knocking 2 points. It's an 8 out of 10 here. 8 out of 10. This might have been a 10 out of 10 had that semi-main event been at least halfway decent. It definitely would have been a 9 out of 10. But this was an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 is still must watch, guys. Unless it's under a 5, it's a must watch, in my opinion. And I don't know if these guys are ever going to put on a show that I'm going to give a 5 or less. I can't see that. But we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully not. But I'm Adam Lavelle of KnuckleTFUp.com. 8 out of 10 Friday Night Fights, 10, 10, 25. Got to see that knockout in the main event. Great stuff. I love small glove Muay Thai. I really do. And I'll be back to discuss it, bare knuckle fighting, dirty boxing, before you know it.